Today's episode of Not Just a Phase is brought to you in part by our partners at Relentless Merchandise. For over a decade now, bands worldwide have depended on Relentless to keep their totes stocked with everything from custom tees and tanks to beanies and banners. So whether you're a new band gearing up for your first order or you're a touring operation looking for advanced e-com services, Relentless has you covered with quick turnaround times and first-class service. Does your merch setup need some love? Hit up Relentless Merch on Instagram and check them out online at relentlessmerch.com. Mention this podcast to receive an exclusive Not Just a Phase discount. Relentless Merchandise. Quality prints. On time. There's a label war going down in the Scrams game, and we want you to be on the right side of it. Go to Larry Records for all your Screamo needs. Larry Records is a gang, and they got all the hottest bands right now. We're talking Versus Self, Catalyst, Oath, Claybirds, Heaven Through Violence, Numirs, and so much more. Join the label wars today on the right side, and get with the gang at Larry Records. Hit up larry187.bandcamp.com for all your Screamo needs. Ladies and gentlemen, trans and non-binary punks of all ages and denominations, welcome back to another episode of Not Just a Phase, and thank you for joining us here in our 5th season. If you're new here, let me get this out of the way really quick. We're online at notjustaphase.net. Occasionally, I tweet some nonsense on Twitter at NJAP Worldwide. We are on Instagram, YouTube, Tinder, Threads, TikTok, and Patreon at Not Just a Phase Worldwide. There's bonus content there, video podcasts, news, behind the scenes, all that good stuff, and you can join for free, so please do. Shout out to our partners at Blocko Media, who are the gentlemen from Moldula Lunar. Make sure you check out their company for your video editing needs at Blocko Media. And check out their band as well, because they are excellent. And if you're looking to get on our blog spot or podcast, or you have any press inquiries at all, please send us an email to notjustaphase@gmail.com. Okay, let's get to the show. The time has finally come. I've been running Not Just a Phase now for going on 5 years, and I've finally gotten to chat with the Big O. I've been calling Ostraca the Big O since I discovered them many, many, many years ago. They're throwing up an O right now for those of you not watching the video. Hailing from Richmond, Ostraca is a band I consider to be a massive force in the worldwide Screamo community, known across the globe for pushing sonic boundaries of the genre with every release they write by incorporating elements from a plethora of heavy music genres. I mean, you can hear influences of noise, emo violence, black metal, crust, post-rock, and some of the most beautiful clean parts and soundscapes that have ever graced my ears. Ostraca have become one of the most unique sounds in heavy music, and they have elevated the definitions and boundaries of the genre in their career. So it's truly an honor today to be discussing their origins, their lore, what their plans are for the year in 2025, and we are on the cusp of their new album release, and we'll be diving into that. Eventualities is set to release on April 18th through Persistent Vision Records, who they've just recently signed with. The pre-orders are already available online as well. There is a cassette and 2 gorgeous vinyl variants to choose from, and we are very excited to have 2 out of 3 members on the show today. Welcome to the show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. How are we all feeling?
Very well. Thanks for having us.
Feeling fine.
Awesome. I'm super glad I got through that insanely nervously.
You killed it. You killed it.
Thank you.
It was flawless.
I've done it once or twice. So for the listeners who are not looking at all of our attractive faces, could you just tell us what your name is and what role it is you play in the band?
My name's Gus, and I play bass and do vocals.
And I'm Brian, and I play guitar.
Hey, this is Gus from Ostraca, and you're listening to Song for a Closed Door from our upcoming record Eventualities on Not Just a Phase podcast.
So outside of music, before we get into your guys' work, do you listen to any podcasts in your free time? I'm always curious what podcasts people are listening to.
Yes, I'm a pretty reliable podcast listener. Mostly movie podcasts are kind of the main ones. So my like regular listens are The Big Picture from The Ringer and Blank Check. Um, and then there's another Ringer movie podcast, The Rewatchables, that I listen to pretty regularly. Um, what else? I subscribe to TrueAnon, but don't listen to all of them. I would say maybe half of them catch my attention and I actually listen to it. So, um, but yeah, those are kind of my main ones.
Yeah, I truly don't listen to too many podcasts, honestly. I'd say Otherworld is something I listen to. Um, and I do a lot of driving for work, so a guilty pleasure was the Steve-O podcast I've been listening to in the like last week or so. It's kind of
Oh,
a
that's
while.
awesome.
Yeah. I also, just thinking, I want to shout out this really sick podcast called Elder Sign. That is these two, I think they're both like literature professors, and they have a like weird fiction podcast that they do, which is something that I'm like really interested in, and tried out a bunch of them and found a lot of them pretty unlistenable. But yeah, I don't know. They do like a pretty wide range of like.
What do you find unlistenable about? This is what I have to like look this up now. So I'm like sitting here like feverishly typing like, oh, what is this? What's the difficulty in palading?
I mean, I don't know. I guess a lot of like genre fiction readers in general probably are not like, I mean, obviously, if you're doing a podcast about like horror fiction, you enjoy it, but maybe are not the most like literary person. And maybe this is like the reason that you're into specifically this kind of thing. And it's like, obviously there's a room for every kind of like fandom. But again, the fact that these two are like, in academia, and one of them, I think, has like a master's in like classic studies. And so, I don't know, being able to like situate these things, and like they did a big series on this Alan Moore series of short stories called The Voice of the Fire. And a lot of it is about like, uh, this sort of like mock history of like prehistorical England, and then actually having some like background in like the Middle Ages and like classics and stuff. I feel like just makes it feel a little more like grounded, and I don't know. They're not like silly, I would say. It's
Yeah,
not super dead serious, but like they take, the stuff that they're covering seriously and discuss it earnestly. And I just haven't found any other, again, like genre fiction podcasts that really do it as well as they do.
that's cool.
Yeah. But yeah. Also, not a podcast, but we're both big fans of the classic radio show Loveline. I don't know if you guys ever listened to that. This was a like 90s to like early aughts like talk radio show with Dr. Drew and Adam Carolla. And it was like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a product of its time
Yes.
in many ways. So
Yes.
some of the advice that they give maybe would not fly on a podcast like yours. And every now and then, if they like really don't like someone, Adam Carolla will be like, "Why don't you just kill yourself?" Or like, you know. Uh, so some of
Amazing.
it has maybe
Yeah.
aged a little.
A little
But
poorly.
at the same time, this is like kind of right on the cusp of like the internet becoming the place where you could learn anything you wanted to. And so there are a lot of like 14-year-olds who are calling in and are like, hey, like my mom is addicted to meth. Like, what should I do? Or like,
Jesus.
I'm like a lot of people really getting into like their histories of like being sexually abused and stuff. And like, again, these are like a lot of times, like young teens and people who like don't have a lot of great mentors in their life. And I feel like it's always like there's an amount of humor to it, but when
Mhm.
they find someone who actually like good advice, they like generally do like step up to the plate and really give them pretty good advice.
Yeah.
Um,
Dr. Drew always has something good to say, I
yeah.
will say.
He's a
And
real
then
doctor.
they have a lot of like guests on too, so it's like a pretty interesting, kind of mix of like 90s personalities. The Insane Clown Posse episodes are really good.
Hmm
They did
Oh no, 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 no.
yes,
Fuck.
yes,
We've gone
yes.
so long without the Insane Clown Posse being mentioned on this fucking podcast. Damn it. We were on such a hot streak.
Wait, this episode or like the show?
The show. There's been a running ICP joke, I think, since Crowning came on here in like season 2. Fuck.
That's because Justin's from Detroit. Well, it's not like
It's
Detroit,
terrible.
but Metro Detroit.
Well, I
We
don't,
have
I don't know Crowning's attitude, but we're not joking. This is serious business, and they're
I don't think they were either. They were down with the clown, and
yeah,
I'm
Yeah, whoop
pissed.
whoop, you know.
yeah.
No, no. God damn it. All right. I'm just gonna
Hey,
cut
I'm
that
just
out,
gonna say,
hopefully.
listen to the ICP Loveline episodes, and I really
No.
think it'll change your perspective on them. I really think it will. I don't know. Open your heart.
Yeah, crack a
Jesus
Faygo.
Christ. All right. I'm
Can you get Fago in Canada? That's it's not a time. We don't need to discuss this right now.
yeah, you can. I don't know. I haven't had it since I was like 10. But yeah, let's not get too down with the clown. Fuck. Outside of music, guys, what hate that this got derailed so quickly. Outside of music, what other hobbies and passions are occupying your free time right now? Side
Ooh.
hustles, passions,
Um,
hobbies. Yeah.
I'm building a lowrider in my spare time. So
Damn.
yeah, that's what I'm up to. When I'm not rocking, I'm wrenching, you know.
That's also sick. I'm gonna just start saying that for no reason to people.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
I'm not rocking, I'm wrenching. They'll be like, "What? Don't worry about it."
So it's been a labor of love, but it's slowly coming along. Yeah, it's in like an old Toyota. So,
Very
you know.
cool.
Hell yeah.
I'm a big reader. I have like gotten, I would say, more like seriously into movies in the past couple of years, like in COVID times, just I don't know, started watching a lot more movies and thinking about them more. And then I'm pretty into trail running too. It's a big one for me. That was another COVID pursuit of something that I had like kind of loosely wanted to get into, and then had a lot of free time and nowhere to be. So yeah, I got like pretty into running during COVID.
Very cool. Very cool. So, generic question, but I think it's a good starting point. Before you all became the big O, the Ostraca, how did you find your way throwing up the O before you formed the band for Kilgore and everything? Like, how did you guys find your way into punk music or alternative or DIY? Like, what was your first introduction to this type of world?
Wow.
I mean, when I was like a kid, like in elementary school, like a lot of people, I think kind of my very first introduction to anything like punk was the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater games. And like right around that time, my in like second or third grade, my best friend's older brother, who was like into skateboarding and like had dreadlocks and like got expelled, burned me a copy of Keys Be Nights by Catch 22, the ska band. So that was kind of my first foray. And then like we both grew up like outside of DC. So there were a lot of like, all ages ska shows and stuff in the city that I would go to. So it's like, I mean, it's not like DIY exactly, but that was definitely, punk adjacent. I mean, I went to the 930 Club a lot, which now I look at and I'm like, oh man, that place is, huge and I'm sure owned by, some kind of corporation or something. But compared to your average 9-year-old, it was a pretty cool place to go, I guess. And then when we were in high school, I feel like kind of the two like big forces around us were there was this like used record and CD exchange. It's called Record and Tape Exchange, like right across the street from our high school. And a lot of the like, weird kids from our school would like work there in exchange for like free music and stuff. And they would do shows there occasionally, mostly like noise shows and stuff, with the occasional punk show. And then one of our buddies, did Ted ever work at Record and Tape?
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the years, but our friend Ted worked there for a few years.
So this is a guy who was like a few years older than us, but was like involved with like the record store. He started doing shows in a shed in his parents' backyard. Um, and at the time, this is definitely like right as we were like first kind of hearing screamo and like grindcore and these types of things. Um, and now I look back and like we saw like Storm the Bastille played
Hmm.
there.
Sweet Little Loon played
Yeah,
there.
the last show
Like,
ever there was Sweet Loon played
yeah,
again in like a shed in his parents' backyard.
yeah. Which was
Um,
Kilgore's last show.
yeah.
Yeah.
Age 16, who I don't know if people remember them.
I
And
recall age 16. It's been a
yeah,
hot minute.
sort of
I have one of
short-lived.
their vinyl sitting over there.
Yeah, I was gonna say like they weren't around long, but like very sick band, like they played there. So, a lot of stuff like that. But that was definitely the first time ever going to like a truly, truly DIY show, was there. And that would have been probably like sophomore or junior year of high school for both of us, something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, I was like in high school, I was a grade below Gus and our drummer John, but my foray into it was quite similar. I mean, this Ted, I was friends with his younger brother, he was in my grade, and he in like seventh or eighth grade, he burned me a CD that had some DC bands on it, like Frodis was one. And then Majority Rule and Page 99. And because he found out I like wore a Fugazi shirt, like a homemade Fugazi shirt to school. And he was like, "Oh, if you like that, you might like this." And I mean, that was just, that was the key, was those CDs that unlocked it for me. And then, I met Gus in high school, and then like Gus mentioned, we started going to the shed and getting involved in more DIY stuff. And 20 years later, here we
Yeah.
are.
Sorry, I hadn't thought about Brian's homemade Fugazi shirt in a
Yeah.
while, but I remember it quite clearly.
I'm sure it was excellent.
It was crazy.
Did you use like it looked like it was done with like a whiteout pen on like a
Nice.
green shirt, if I'm
Yeah, it was a
correct.
navy blue shirt with like geez, it was like one of those like graffiti pens, And like it just worked, and it went through the wash so many times, and it just held up. And like I honestly wish I still had it. Just whatever landfill that's in now, like, blessed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, what about the local scene around you guys currently? Is there any bands, venues, anybody you'd want to shout out, put a spotlight on while you have the mic?
Um, as far as like venues,
Mm.
um, I mean, last night we played at Cobra Cabana, which like I said is a cool spot, and they do like a ton of shows. Um, there's a place called Banditos, which is like a Mexican restaurant that has basically just an empty room that's attached to it, and they do shows there pretty
That
regularly.
sounds great.
Um, there's the Warehouse, is this like pretty,
Warehouse.
yeah, it's a warehouse, surprisingly enough. And they definitely like they've been around for like kind of a long time and used to only do kind of like capital H hardcore shows. But kind of like during COVID and ever since our like, now deceased Strange Matter, which was like a super sick like dive bar that had a stage and was like a 250 cap room that had a million great shows in it. Like when they went down, there were a lot of other places that like had been doing some shows or maybe were doing like only one kind of music, but then kind of broadened and sort of absorbed some of the overflow. And then there's actually a like pretty new spot that seems to be doing things kind of regularly called The Hole,
hmm
which is
It used to be a store. A bomb has like since gone off in
yeah,
it.
I was gonna describe it as semi-abandoned.
Yeah.
Um,
Actual bomb? Sorry.
No.
Oh, okay.
Figurative.
Uh,
Ridiculous venues. The Shed, the Hole. So great.
It's all Ask a Punk type stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
But this place, I think most of the time it's like art storage, but every now and then the guy who owns it will do like a like gallery showing there.
Mhm.
And this is a good way to start talking about maybe local bands that are doing cool things. One of the guys from this band, Skipper, I think like his partner did a showing there, and he went and was like, "Hey, would you ever be open to doing like live music, like a punk show here or something?" And so we played the first show there back in like January, and I think they've done three or four since. And we have another one booked there with, or we're not playing, but Nuvola Scora is playing there when they come out east in like a month and a half. So who knows? It's definitely a little touch and go, and I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't last forever, but right now it's pretty cool. But yeah, and then as far as bands, Skipper that I just
Yeah.
mentioned,
There's a lot of really cool, like younger people getting into the scene here.
yeah,
And so a lot of them have started bands, and I mean, there's a whole handful right now. Skipper, Autumn
all,
Sonata,
yeah.
um,
Claudia's Symptoms
yeah,
is another like young band that just started up in the past like year or two. Terror Cells from
yeah,
here, and we play with them all the time. Christeva, who we played last night, I don't think plays a ton, but they're pretty cool.
yeah. It's
Kind
always
of
good when they do.
post-rocky, like emo, sometimes screamy. Um, Gift from God.
Yeah, John and I played another band called Gift from God, and we're somewhat active.
I think I've heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, once or twice.
Yeah. It's all right. It's all right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Brian also has a new band
yeah,
that there has been a lot of talk about what the name of the band will be. Brian and John are both in this new
yeah.
band too, and they like can't decide on a name, which for me is kind of just funny because I don't have to be stressed about it. I can just sit here and watch them like just say
Oh
like
God.
terrible name after terrible name to each other and be like, no, no, no.
Yeah, so if you have any cool names for like an emo thing, let me know. We're taking
What have
suggestions.
been what have been some of the rejected ones? Was it what's been the worst one that got shut
Um,
down? That's because he's
I
saying them
want
like they're
Gus to
bad.
answer that question. I want Gus to tell us the
Yeah,
worst
that's
one.
good point. Good point.
Let's see. The most recent one was Debonair, which apparently Chris was
Name.
like, I think this is a really good name. And John was like, oh my God, that's the worst band name I've ever heard. Brian, yesterday, I hadn't heard this until yesterday, but we were like talking about this on the way to the Respire show. Brian said he had suggested Peter Picks a Proxy. um,
it was a dark night when I thought of that.
Be a
uh,
cool grind band name.
Yeah,
yeah.
it could be.
That's the thing is I feel like there's been a number where it's like, I could see there being a band called this and it working well, but like, I mean, what does this band sound like?
I'm trying to brand it as mid-Atlantic emo.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
but what does it sound like?
Yeah.
How
Sounds like
mid is it?
I don't know, if you took like Under Oath and Taking Back Sunday and Census Fail and Every Time I Die, and you just went like that, you know.
Yeah.
That is insane.
Yeah.
So again, like maybe some of these names would work for some other band, but maybe not this band. But I don't
Fair
know.
enough.
It's making me really
Yeah.
glad.
Like Peter Picks a
I haven't
Proxy is
started.
like cyber grind. Just go.
Yeah.
That was a good one. We kind of had a name for a second, but we went against it. We were called Match Point for like 24 hours. We had a whole tennis theme going. None of us play sports. We thought it was kind of funny, but that's neither here nor there.
If I don't want to change gears too much, and this is like a 6-part question because I'm just fucked like that. So I was listening, Gus. You did, Edie's Everything Remade a
Mhm.
while ago. And Brian, I don't even know if you've been on a podcast, so now I get to like just spring this on you, which feels great. But I want to go back to this love line discussion a little bit because it's like you played into this question perfectly for me. There was a certain culture that existed like pre-internet, and now we're in like the social media phase. And there was that like space between where like MySpace was just becoming a thing. Facebook was only for students. Like it's a, LiveJournal was popular. This like pre-meta Instagram boom time frame, Last FM, it shaped Ostraca, I think. You talked about on Edie's podcast being on the Streetlight Manifesto forum. I'm taking you back to ska. But that's where you heard about like a lot of screamo music too, right? Like you obviously had some influence in high school, but you had heard about like Seisha, Jerome's Dream, Tragedy, His Hero's Gone. Talk about the influence of like those weird online communities in shaping your existence and creating music in 2020s.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I definitely like everyone, I think have a lot of thoughts about social media and how it's like probably making us all crazy, but also if you like try to live without it, then you're like a true sicko. And like especially if you want to like have a band and be in touch with people and let people know when you're doing stuff, it's like unfortunately like kind of part of it all. Um, but yeah, I do think there's like some level of interest in returning to a more like kind of tribal version of the
Yeah.
internet where it is not like everything you do is just for like absolute public consumption. Like every, whatever tweet you make, anyone can go and see it. Um, I don't remember if I talked about this or not at the time, but I also, in addition to being on the Streetlight forum, had a forum that was literally just like me and my other friends in marching band at high school. And so it was like, I mean, if you have ever done marching band, then you know that you spend a lot of time with these people already.
Yeah.
And we made a forum in addition to that to literally just like dick around and like talk to each other and send like extremely primitive memes because this was like 2007 or something. And I don't know. I think there's a lot to be said for that. We also, for a while, were really into this app called Path.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P.
Path.
Truly R.I.P. Path. That was like kind of similarly. It was really big in the Philippines, I
Yeah.
think. And it like the listing on the App Store called it a dating app. I have no idea how you would
Yeah.
use it to like date someone.
It was not a dating app.
Yeah, because it's literally the only people you see anything from are the people who you're already like connected to. And like no one in the US had it. So it was just like us, like our immediate kind of nuclear friend group in Richmond. And then we would invite, like real ones in other cities to like
Mm-hmm.
when we saw them in person, we'd be like, hey, you should get on this app called Path. And I would post like everything I did on there because you could like tag a song you were listening to, you could tag where you were and who you were with.
Like what you were drinking, like eating, stuff
Yeah.
like that. It was really cool.
You could post when you were going to sleep and waking
Yeah, when you
up.
wake up.
And then when you like saw other people like waking up, you could comment and be like, wow, like didn't get much sleep last night, huh? And again, it was just this like extremely tight-knit group of people who I actually do. Not that I want them to know everything about me, but like I'm fine with them knowing everything about me. And so like I don't know, it brought us a lot of joy and then they fucking killed it.
Killed it.
How long again? Like probably like 5 or 6 years ago now.
I mean
Maybe
that
longer.
longer than that. I think 2017 or 2018.
Yeah.
It was a big blow. But we'd also go on these like long tours at the time, and like at this point, I'm talking about people who are like very close to us now, but back then we were just kind of getting to know them and hang out with them and sesh really hard. And after meeting them once or twice, like Gus said, we would get them on the app, and like it just made the bond like so much better. Seeing like when my friend in Texas was like waking up every morning and like who committed to the app and who just got on for a week and got off. So.
Yeah. There were people who would get on there and like treat it like a joke too and just like post like 15 pictures of the same thing and be like, damn, this person's not a real friend.
Yeah.
Wow.
What cereal you're into right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so
wow.
sorry. The question I think was how did that like era of social media influence us as a band?
Was like the early era of social media, right? Like I think that I know for me, I'm a little older than y'all, but not by much. Like, and like, go back to that "See You Next Tuesday" like podcast. Drew and I are of similar age. Like, dude, I know what everyone was doing on the internet in that time. It's not like weird stuff, but it's just like you found your like weird niche community that if you grew up in a small town just didn't exist, right? Like there were like two or three other kids in my whole entire like grade that were interested in the same kind of music as I was, right? So it was like small towns, like you sort of fled to those places, right? To get your info. It wasn't always coming from somebody else.
Yeah, I was like pretty into MySpace, honestly. I was like peak age for MySpace. And I just found a lot of cool stuff through that, like Norma Jean, I found out through MySpace. But to be honest with you, I feel like most of the stuff I was picking up back in that era was like still like word of mouth. Like it was,
Yeah.
I was in high school, I was in middle school, and like I remember my parents would give me like $2 for lunch every day, and I would not eat lunch, and I would save the $2, and I would go to the record store we were talking about earlier on like Thursday or Friday when I had like, $6 or $8. And like, these people who were like 5 years older than us, who had like, at that point were like 18 or 19, were working at this record store. And I'd be like, hey, oh, I'm into this. And they'd be like, oh, CDs over there, the records over there, tapes over there. And then we would just like sesh on that and talk about music. And I would just buy these tapes. And I ended up, my tape collection's gone now, but at that point I was like, very early into like weird stuff. Like I mentioned Frodis earlier. I picked them up super early and just kind of, would just talk to these people at the record store. And that kind of just shaped a lot for me, honestly.
Yeah. I was definitely like I never had a MySpace. Ed was like a kind of dragged kicking and screaming into like getting a Facebook in like 2009. Um, so I don't know. I was pretty down on it, and maybe that I'm sure says something about me in its way. But I did also want to shout out while we're just talking about like our lives on the internet at that point. R.I.P. Carl Lundstrom, one of the co-founders of Pirate Bay, died like 2 days
Yes.
ago in a plane
Yeah.
crash.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
And
that's fucked.
I don't know. That definitely like I mean, again, talking about sort of the wild west of the internet at that time, like the Pirate Bay and Soulseek,
Oh, Soulseek.
like Kazaa and Morpheus, all these like,
LimeWire, BearShare.
yeah, Bear.
IRC, that was my favorite.
Oh, IRC, damn.
Uh,
Yeah.
You know,
like I feel like as
founding
a
fathers.
like teenager with just a complete appetite for like all the shit that I know absolutely nothing about, literally downloading like 50 new records in a day and being like, all right, there's a reason that nobody ever heard of it. But definitely there were a handful of things that like kind of stuck with me where I was like, damn, seems like nobody cares about this band, but they're important to me. So
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know. That and again, like um, the 4chan music board, I definitely
Ooh.
went on. I don't think I like ever posted there, but every now and then, again, someone would start a like psychedelic jazz thread and post like 50 records with like MediaFire links, and I would be like, all right, like I don't know anything about psychedelic jazz, but let's give it a try because this guy seems to know what he's talking about. So
Yeah, that's the wild part. Those niche communities.
Mhm.
It's pretty great. I'm sure Brian's got that with, like looking at like lowrider shit on the internet. I don't know fuck all about cars, so I can't.
No, yeah, it's I'm on some forums that, it sucks because it's like a lot of the issues I have, there's like just a Facebook group now, and it's like it's
Yeah.
so saturated and horrible. And then I like, look at the problem deeper, and there's like, these old Toyota forums that, this guy in 2002 had my issue, but he's not responding to me in 2025, And it's like, I wish that would come back.
Yeah. Well, we've got to pull ourselves into 2025 now. You have a new record coming out, which yeah, there's been a single so far. Absolutely sick. There's been this pattern here, and now I'm dying to know how intentional this is.
Mhm.
Disaster,
I know what's coming.
Enemy, Last, Deathless. It's all 6 tracks. Uh, Eventualities has 4. You broke the cycle. Not counting a split, right? With the Fleshborn split, but is this the differentiator? Is this EP versus LP? 6 versus 4? How intentional was this?
It not very, I would say. And this is definitely something that a lot of people seem to kind of fixate on. They're
We're
like,
stuck on it.
6 songs. Why is it 6 songs? And it's like, I don't know, man. It just kind of worked out that way that, if the average song is like 4.5 minutes, then if you have 6 of them, that's like 27 minutes or so. And that's about the right length for a screamo record usually. So that's kind of just the way it has worked out. And while I would not say we're above being cryptic and having some kind of lead you to some kind of a, treasure map or something.
Yeah, great Malenko.
Yeah, the Ostraca ARG is coming soon, trust me. But yeah, no, it just kind of worked out that way. And I don't know, this is another thing that several people have asked me about in the past couple of months about like, is this an EP or an LP? And my now kind of stock answer is that I think it's a pretty meaningless distinction.
Right.
I mean, maybe it always was, except for during the day of the like 12-inch maxi single or something. But like realistically, most people are listening to this shit on like Spotify or Bandcamp or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, if you put one song on a 12-inch disc, is that an LP? If you put 25 songs onto a 7-inch, is that an LP? Like, so I don't know. It's not a distinction I'm very interested in. And so, there's 4 songs, deal with it.
Yeah. But also, what does it mean?
Yeah. Yes. We're doing sort of Oanon, you might call it. Real ones are following the clues.
Yeah.
I hate to jump back in time, but I got to do it. There was a 5 year span there between the release of Enemy and Disaster. Presumably, responsibilities of being an adult was the reasoning. But what's happening in that 5 year span? No, that's not it. Okay. So what was the
Man,
reason
you're
for the
playing a
five
lot of
year?
Bloodborne.
Are you
Yeah.
serious?
Kind
Like,
of.
I mean,
kind of.
that's not what was getting in the way
No,
of
no.
us
It sounds like it.
making music.
COVID, honestly, it was a big part of it.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
really, it's like, I mean, at that time, John and I were living together, and we would have band practice in our living room.
Nice.
Um, and it's like part of it is like everyone is stuck at home, and I don't want to make your like roommates like the one place that they can be chill now is like loud and unpleasant for, a couple hours a week or whatever.
Hmm.
So that kind of brought things to a halt. Even just the notion of like who is still going to work in person and am I like okay with you like being in my bubble or whatever kind of brought things to a halt a little bit. But then also, I think just the idea that we didn't have, like, there were no shows coming up. And I feel like for us, it's like, you know, uh, when there's a show coming up, well, you got to practice for the show. And when you're practicing, you're like, I don't know, warming up and like fooling around on guitar and stuff. And then maybe when you go to a show, you like hear a song that inspires you in some way, or like, I don't know, there's like a moment in another song where it's like, that's really cool. I should try and write something that feels that way. And so, like, I don't know, without the prospect of like touring or playing shows, practicing just was not really something that was super urgent. And, we were all kind of just doing our own thing. And so, yeah, it just wasn't really a like major priority for us to feel like we had to get a new record out. I didn't feel like I had songs like flowing out of me that needed a vessel to contain them. Um, so
Fair
yeah,
enough.
there was
Yeah.
no internal
No,
no
no.
one got mad at each other or
Mm-mm.
anything.
No.
And
Okay.
yeah, again, our lives are all
Well, it's
uh,
just also like what a weird time to be doing things right during COVID, so that
Yeah.
it
right.
can become
Mm.
difficult. And I think like there's probably some differences simply like between coming out of COVID and then, writing Disaster in 20, for 2023, and then another break between Disaster and Eventualities. Like, what does that writing process look like from record to record? I mean, maybe all records are a little bit different for y'all, but Disaster to Eventualities, what's your writing process? Talk to us.
That felt like pretty natural. I mean, we recorded Disaster, and then after Disaster, like we kind of split writing something down, not down the middle. It's like there's a percentage breakdown. Real ones now. Uh,
Yeah,
uh,
0%, 0%.
but like I had some things cooking, Gus had some things cooking, and they had been, I guess, cooking kind of after Disaster. And so we kind of just, in between tours and shows, kind of just would practice. I want to say once a week or, once every other week, really. And one of those practices would just be longer than the others, where we would like kind of flesh out ideas together, and like kind of whatever we were drawing influence from at the time, and kind of just chop them up, and kind of led to us recording this new thing.
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of times like I will start a song like on guitar and then we'll sit down with Brian and kind of go through like what I have on guitar so far. And I would say most of the time when Brian and I have our like guitar sit down so that John doesn't have to just sit there and watch us and
Hmm.
look at his phone. Um, I feel like usually when I'm sitting down with, most of a song with Brian, it's probably like 80% of the way there. And then we kind of like fill in some gaps as like transitions between parts and like intros and outros and stuff. And then when we put it together with John, it's like maybe we're playing this part too many times, or maybe this should feel a little faster, or this change needs to feel more abrupt. Um, so yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm again, kind of coming with the seed of most of our songs, but then when you put it together with everyone else, it evolves and changes. And even like there have been times where we record a song that we haven't really played out live very much. And then we play it live a few times and it's like, damn, we definitely should have been doing this part faster. And like now the record sounds different, which is fine. But yeah, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, we had like 3 new songs, and then one of the songs on Eventualities, So Do I, was on a 4-way split that we did a couple years back. And I don't know, we still play that song pretty frequently, and I really like it. And so that's one that, again, it's like, I feel like we hadn't really played that live when we recorded it. And it's kind of evolved, and I had some ideas that we didn't get to set down the first time we recorded it. So that was one that I felt like it was kind of worth coming back to and putting on like an Ostraka record as opposed to like a split.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then beyond that, we have like, a handful of new songs that we've like been playing together that haven't played out yet. And then I have some more stuff like written that it's kind of slowly evolving. So yeah, watch this space. More to come.
Oh, hell yeah. So there is a significant amount of member sharing, or better put, a number of projects. How much of the how do you keep yourself centered on Ostraka when you want to be Ostraka? Or is there this like chameleonism that you can just like, I'm just sitting down and I'm gonna noodle and like it's gonna spit out and I'm just gonna decide where it needs to go?
I mean, right now, for me, Ostraka is the only screamo band that I'm in. Uh, when I was in like Swan of Tunella, I wasn't writing songs for that band. I wasn't writing songs when I was in Cost. I would write like my parts maybe, or like make suggestions, but I wasn't really setting anything down. I had a short-lived project called 60659C, and I wrote a few songs for that, but I was standalone vocals, so it was like kind of mostly out of my hands. And so I don't know. I mean, at this point, sometimes I'll write something and I'll be like, I kind of like the way this feels, but it's definitely not an Ostraka song, and it gets filed away in the memory banks for, who knows, maybe someday my one-man black metal project or my shoegaze band or something.
Rob loves one-man bands for sure.
Yeah. Hey, maybe someday. But yeah, so I don't know. That's probably more of a Brian
Yeah.
question
I
at this
think
point.
I don't know. I've been playing music with Gus and John for so long that like I like when I'm writing something, I'll like noodle around a little bit and I'll catch a vibe on it, and I'll know if it's an Ostraka song. It's just like I don't know. We've been doing this now for so long that like I know what can be and what shouldn't be an Ostraka song. Especially if like I'm writing something for a gift from God, like it's just a completely different style to me. It's almost like a different way of playing guitar in that band versus this band. And same thing with this new band that has no name. It's just like it's different from the other two, period. So I think it's like pretty intentional when I'm writing like an Ostraka song that it's going to be an Ostraka song, and it's not a GIF or Ostraka song. It's it's an Ostraka song or it's a GIF song.
Yeah. Cool. No, I dig that. It's always curious to hear like when you're sitting down, how intentional are you being about like, all right, today I want to do X, and X is Ostraka.
And I think part of what helps too is like in the case of GIF, like Chris, the other guitarist in that band, I would say has a very unique style.
Very unique.
So it's like I feel like even if Brian brought the kind of stump of an Ostraka song to a GIF practice, it would turn into something completely different. And like vice versa. Like if he came with what was destined to be a GIF song to Ostraka and we like sat down and fleshed it out, it would turn into something completely different.
Mhm.
I think you need to explore that. That's the next Ostraka record, right? Like the next split, you just have to like Ostraka GIF split, and you gotta like combine tracks and do weird shit.
Yeah. I will say also, this is like early days, but we are loosely looking at the idea of doing another split to come at some point. and we're talking about the prospect of doing like a cover song, which I feel like again, it's like something that we've like bandied about here and there. But it's like, I don't know. I think kind of raises the question of like, okay, if we do a cover of some song, then like, how do we turn that song into an Ostraka song? Like, what is it that we're adding to it? Because I don't know. I feel like the most like boring thing you can do with a cover is just be like you know, is do karaoke basically and just do it as faithfully as possible. So it's
Mm.
like if you don't have like a spin or something interesting to add to a song, then like don't do it. But also again, like I don't know, putting our like filter on something, I feel like is uh it's a big question for me.
Yeah.
That reminds me of Richmond everything metal band Inter Arma doing Southern Man by Neil Young, which is like it sounds a little bit like Neil Young, but also like Inter Arma. You're like, okay, this is a weird spin, but I respect it.
Mhm.
So one of the things, and I think we're going to talk a little bit like music shop and maybe some tone chasing, but this is the second record that you've done with Danny Gibney, and I hope that I'm pronouncing Danny's last name right. But I read through a post that Danny made. This is the depths of my internet stalking and or research, call it what you will.
Yeah.
Y'all were one of the first heavy bands he'd recorded.
Yeah.
That's wild. Like, how did he become the choice, for Disaster and then maintain the helm for Eventualities?
It's the YouTube video.
Because Danny's that boy, dude.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Oh shit, he's that boy, huh?
So Danny, I used to live and I went to college in Harrisonburg, Virginia. Um, and Danny, I don't know when he moved there, but he's been there for a while too. And it's like a pretty small town. So we definitely always had a lot of friends in common, but he was not someone who I like really particularly knew. But then we, I don't even know what year this would have been. We played a festival there called Mac Rock that I used to be on like the board of like organizers for when I lived there. And there's a video of us playing that set, and Danny had taken just like the audio out from the mixing board and like mixed the live video, and like sitting down listening to it, we were just like pretty blown away with how good he made a live video sound. And he had expressed like, if you guys would ever want to do a record, like I'd be like super, super down. Um, and he's definitely someone who, even though he does like mostly record, I would say like singer-songwriter and like folk, and he uh like kind of alt country type stuff. I mean, he can do whatever, but like that's kind of his wheelhouse, in part just because that's most of the artists coming out of the Shenandoah Valley. But he definitely like is like a big screamo head and like loves screamo. And probably that's part of the reason that he was interested in recording. But he like, I don't know, like knows his stuff, and every like reference record that I gave him, he was like, yeah, I love the sound of that record. And a lot of it, he would even be like, would have like specific insight into like, oh yeah, actually like this is the way they recorded this part on that record. And like, it's really interesting. Um, so I don't know, he had expressed interest and had like a really sick home studio setup. Um, his dad is like a rocker as well, and so he has a bunch of his dad's old gear from like the 60s and 70s. And like this huge, insane, like analog Tascam mixing board from the 1960s that he got from a university in Winchester. So like as far as like home studio setups go, it's like extremely legit and like
Yeah.
real nice. And he's just like a very like it feels maybe even silly to call him like creative, but I guess I feel like a lot of people who maybe like all they do is record hardcore bands or all they do is record death metal. It's like, hey, if you want to sound like this record, go to this guy and he'll make you sound like that.
Right.
And a lot of times that's great. Like, I don't know. I feel like Kurt Ballou maybe is someone who like there's a sound to like a God City record. And I'm sure part of that is all of these bands like cut their teeth listening to Converge records. And so they're like, that's the goal. And I like a lot of that stuff. But the fact that Danny like had not had much experience and was kind of down to just explore and like do weird stuff. He has this kind of,
He's a madman.
he's a madman. I was gonna say, I don't want people to misunderstand the word fetish when I use it here. He has I would say, a non-sexual fetish
We don't
for,
kink shame. I'm not just a phase.
yeah. Well, and it's certainly no shame, but he's really into taking like headphones and then like reversing direction to use them as microphones. So there are like a couple of things on Disaster that were recorded by taking a pair of like skull candy earbuds and like taping them to like the hi-hat stand or something. Uh
Wild.
Or he got like a Leslie speaker, one of the rotating speakers. There are a couple videos of him taking earbuds and to get that kind of like sound, just like swinging them around in the air while he's recording something at like a steady pace. So I don't know. He's like just a very chill guy and is like, again, like how open he is to doing whatever to like get the record to sound the way we want it to, or maybe discover the way we want it to sound. We had a great time. And yeah, we did eventualities with him too. And I don't know, man. That's our guy. That's our
Yeah,
boy.
ride or die.
Dirty Danny.
So he's part of the secret to the magical tone that is Ostraka. And I've wanted to make this a regular question for a while now. If you're willing to give away some of your formula, from like head and cab to pedal board to the guitar, what is a quick rig rundown that gives you guys that magical tone for the tone lords and the gearheads who want to know what makes that magic sound?
Ooh, yeah, you want it like live or in the
Oh,
studio?
dude,
Ooh.
whatever. What?
Which ones which one are you comfortable giving away? Just give us one.
Well,
Keep the
like
other one in the back pocket.
so they're similar, but so for me I use a Sovtech MiG 100. Really into that like those heads, they're workhorses, very good heads, very stout. And then I also use a 6505. That's my other head. Um, and that's my live setup. In the studio, always do with Danny at least. It's been the Sovtech for one pass, and then he's got this like, again, this is like his dad's old head or something. What is it? It's like a Mesa Boogie Mark II. He calls it the Metallica amp. It's like
It's Mark
whatever
II.
the Metallica used on like Ride the Lightning or something. And it's just like such a crazy head that you never see ever. And he has one. So I use that on the recordings. Just, you know, it just sounds too good, honestly. And that's the secret. And then what
Are you going to talk about pedals or guitars at
oh,
all?
oh yeah.
I feel like the Friedman.
The Friedman distortion pedal, the Friedman, I think it's like the OD1.
Yeah,
Um,
which was a Danny recommendation. That
yes.
was the first time we used one in the studio.
Yeah, Danny let me borrow it for Disaster. And I don't know, it's just like as far as like good distortions go, it's very clean, and I hate to use this term transparent, but it's transparent. It's very nice. It doesn't take too much away from your dry signal, but it adds just enough to do screamo or metal or kind of anything in between. And then the classic guitar amp is the Fender 72 Deluxe reissue Telecaster. You need those wide range humbuckers. And then for you,
Yeah, so my live setup, I play a Fender Dimension C 5 string. Um, and really the only pedal I use is the Electro Harmonix Bass Soul Food Overdrive. And then my head is a PV Mark 6. But honestly, like I really a lot of times if we're traveling, I like don't fly with my bass. I'll usually like just bring a pedal board and like try to just borrow stuff where we are. So I'm not like super picky about what we use. Like this run of Texas shows that we're doing, I'm literally bringing nothing because Blake from Votive was like, "Hey, here's a list of everything I have, and you're welcome to use whatever." And that's one less bag to check and one less thing that might get broken on a plane or lost at a show or whatever. So yeah, live I'm not super picky about it, but yeah, in the studio a lot of times we'll like record direct into the bass and then try like reamping it a few different ways. So I think some of my stuff was through the PV on like Disaster and on Eventualities. Um, I know at one point I was using an Ampeg SVT, but then also, and again, this is like the Danny Sauce, like freak shit that you don't get elsewhere. He has this like tiny little PV practice amp that's probably from the 90s. I think it's like a PV Bandit or
Yeah,
something.
it's very small.
It's this like tiny little 110. And he has found a way to mic it up to make it sound like huge and insane. So I think there was some guitar and some bass that was recorded through that on
I think all the clean guitars were through that
yeah.
head or that like little cab, the combo or whatever.
Yeah. So I don't know. You alluded, I think mostly jokingly, to the idea of stealing our sound. And again, part of the Danny Gibney magic is that I truly do not think, even if you had all the same stuff,
You
which
couldn't do it.
I think there's no way you could freak it the way he does.
You just have to work with Danny.
Yeah.
What a
So
liberating
he's
experience, though, right? Like you get in there, and he's just like, "Yeah, cool. I got some weird ideas. Like, you give me all the source material. Like, what else do you guys want to do? You know, I think that's great."
Yeah. And yeah, like on Wylam, for example, on Disaster, that introduction is Danny playing saxophone in just like 50 different layers of him just like honking on sax. I initially, when we were doing it, I was like in the studio, I want to have an intro of like really kind of like skronky sounding like violin or something. And he was like, well, like I know a couple violin players in town, but like what would you think of doing it on sax? And I was like, let's give it a try. And he like again stuck a like earbud down inside his sax, and like that's how we recorded that part. And I was like, this sounds great. Let's do that. So
That's hilarious. So he's very crucial in the sound. But before him, what like the snare tone has always been insane. What is that fucking thing made out of?
oh
Is there
god.
something special that you're doing with that?
So that's
It's
a
a
John question, but it's a Pearl free
free
floater.
floater, yeah. Is there something he hits it really hard?
Yeah,
Okay, that's
I
gotta
did
be
a
okay.
lot.
Honestly, that's big. This is
Yeah,
something that
yeah.
I like don't really understand drums,
Same.
despite the fact that I played drums in two bands. But this one time we were playing with some like metal band. I don't even know where we were, and they just weren't very good. And their drummer, I noticed, was really like just like tapping so softly. And I was like, I
So
think that's the
soft.
reason this band sucks. And I was talking to John about it, and he described the drummer as having so soft hit syndrome. And that has really stuck with me. Where every now and then I see a band and I'm like, so soft hit syndrome.
So
That's
soft.
why this doesn't sound good.
That checks out. So
Yeah.
it's just the sheer force that makes it so fucking magical. There's no special recording. It's just the force.
Not to my knowledge,
It's
yeah.
those headphone mics, man.
Yeah. I want to change gears slightly. Still talking eventualities. I'm, looking at the album art, at least like what exists for the single, and I think what is available like everywhere online. So I'm assuming that is the actual album art. That's the and just in case you haven't seen it, it's the like there's a person in a like flowing robe in front of these arabesque windows, like sacrificial lamb with blood splurting from its neck, like robed figure, shadowy chin, like kind of creepy vibes. Lantern in the darkness beside a pair of legs. Like, what's is there inspiration for this? Is there something going on here? That is this more Big O conspiracy? Like, what do we need to know about this album artwork?
Follow the signs. Follow the signs. Look for clues. So yeah, that was our another one of our like Danny level co-collaborators is our old friend Garrett Smith, who lives in New York now, but when we met him, he lived in Alabama and was like in a couple of cool bands down there. And honestly, like kind of similar to the way that Danny like knows what's up, but doesn't really like record any other like heavy bands. Garrett, like again, like used to be in like screamo and hardcore bands and stuff, and did a bunch of like flyers and was like booking shows in Birmingham and stuff. But is like not really doing all that much like artwork for bands, but I think he just has like a great visual style. And at this point, it's like somewhat codified as like the look of Ostraka, I would say, because he's done a lot of merch and posters and all sorts of shit for us over the years. And even when like I'm like throwing something together or like working with someone else, a lot of times that's like kind of what I'm looking to emulate. Like the flyer for our Asia tour like wasn't by Garrett, but I feel like it could have been for sure because that's like what I'm looking for when I'm like stealing elements out of like old woodblock like prints and stuff like that. Um, so yeah, I had talked with him like right around the time we were recording, just about like, hey, there's a new record coming, and like I expressed that I was kind of interested in uh a having something like drawn physically because I think prior to that everything had been just digital. Um, and honestly, like this was just sort of a jumping off point, but all of those the Pine records that had the sort of like charcoal style drawings on them, I really like. And I was like, this is like sort of loosely what I'm thinking. And that was like kind of where it started, but again, like worked outward from there. And he was like, I actually have like an illustrator friend who I think would be really perfect for this. Um, who I've never met. I hope to someday. Um, but yeah, he was like, what kind of like guidance do you want to give him or give me in terms of like what we're doing here? And I said that I envisioned like, it's 4 songs and I'm thinking like 4 panels. And I think all I gave him was like the song names and maybe like a loose idea of like what the lyrics are about, sort of. Um, but yeah, so it really was like that again. I like I didn't want it to be a super like concrete kind of one-to-one like here's a picture of like the song. So the fact that it's a little bit obscure and like involves some like interpretation on his part, I was interested in, and yeah, like I think again, all I did was give him the song names, and he came back with sort of like roughs of what ultimately ended up being the cover, and I was like, these look good. So yeah.
That's sick.
Cool. So we're gonna switch gear. We're gonna switch it up completely. We've talked a lot about the album. I'd like to ask a couple questions near the end that I'm presuming nobody has asked you before in an interview. If you've heard the show, we usually do these pretty much every episode. Couple standards here. Like I said, complete left turn here. What's the most illegal or dangerous thing you've ever done that you're willing to put on a very public podcast? Don't dry snitch too hard, since you guys got to cross borders pretty soon.
Yeah.
I think as a band, we played a show one time somewhere in Tennessee. I'll leave that for the Big O conspiracy. You remember? And it was like I think the show got moved, and it got moved into like a blown out house, like an abandoned house with like it was
Yeah.
like 3 walls and no roof type situation. It was
Dangerous.
it was pretty crazy. It's all very last minute, like definitely.
That's not that illegal.
Well, it's
Do you
Well,
want to know?
dangerous or illegal. Dangerous or illegal. Whatever's easier and gets you in less trouble.
This is gonna be like a parent finds out. you know, Gus is gonna.
yeah,
At this point? I don't
a good
know.
one.
I remember definitely at one point, like, I mean, this was, not dangerous through any fault of ours, but I think in like Wyoming, driving through like the most insane thunderstorm I've ever seen in my life, where like we literally just had to like pull over on the side of the road and stop because I was
hmm
like fucking freaking out because of how hard it was raining and like how much lightning there was and stuff.
That's happened a few times too. Like in Texas, it happened. I remember
Yeah.
like something like that.
But
Wyoming one.
that you just stop and then the rain stops and then you
Yeah.
carry on with your life. Um, I don't know. Are you looking for things that we've done intentionally or I guess
Well, here's a
are you
fun
leaving it
one.
ambiguous on purpose?
I got a fun answer.
Okay.
Long ago, this was Kilgore Trout, I think. We were touring in St. Louis,
Mm.
and there was an abandoned building next to like wherever we were playing, and John and I went in it just to like kill some time because we showed up to the venue super early and it was like no one was there and it was like 2 p.m. for like an 8 p.m. show. And so we just like went into this abandoned house. We were walking around. It was all like, kind of chaotic inside. But in one of the rooms there was like this giant like spider. Like it was like a plastic spider. And so I took it. And that spider lives in the van to this day. And it just lives on the dashboard. It's the Tor arachnid or whatever.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's been in the van now for like well over 10 years. And yeah, it all came from this like abandoned house and like a couple blocks away from the venue. I forgot the venue's name. It was somewhere in St. Louis.
It was I don't know if it's around anymore. It was some kind of place that did like a lot of shows that like if you went to St. Louis at this point, this was the place that you played. And I remember the first time we played there, they had a like a youth orchestra camp that they did as
Hmm.
well. And they were like, oh yeah, they're gonna be here tomorrow morning, so we gotta like get everything nice and cleaned up
Yeah,
after
yeah,
the
yeah.
show.
And we had to be out super early too. I think we played with like Leica, I think was one of the bands.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like this is screamo throwback right there, but
Yeah.
like
It was like I want to say it was like the Ming Collective or like the
yeah,
Mom Collect or something like that. I don't remember.
but a long time ago,
Yeah.
but
But we still have the spider. So
hmm.
yeah, that's a good one.
Some good lore. That's some good lore. Well, if assuming that neither of you are pacifists, you can take or pass on this question, but if you could punch any one person in the face as hard as you can with zero repercussions, who would you punch and why?
Maybe Ryan Reynolds. Uh,
I don't even have to ask why.
I've
It's a very
I've
punchable
always
face.
really had it out for him. There's just something about him that just pisses me off. Um, I don't know. When you asked, assuming we're not pacifists, I thought this was going to be like, what do you think of this war? Like, isn't
No, gosh. Yeah, let's get super heavy at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, shooting from the hip, Ryan Reynolds comes to mind.
Good answer.
I've always
Rather
really,
quickly too. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
yeah. What about
God,
you?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not a pacifist per se, but I avoid conflict. I have too much conflict in my life as it is. Um, hmm. I don't know. I might pass on this one. I might leave this up to the deep sleuthers out there.
He doesn't want him to know he's coming.
Yeah, yeah. I got enemies everywhere.
Well, if they're following the signs, they know you're coming for them. Don't worry. What do you guys listen to that could be considered a guilty pleasure, either by yourself or by others,
I
if you
listen
don't
to
believe in guilty pleasures? Yeah.
I listen to all of the Talk to a podcast.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Serious.
You were supposed to answer that when we asked what podcast you listen to.
I did not
Jesus
want to bring
Christ.
it up then. And
I
I'm
meant
sorry I brought
music.
it up now.
I meant music guilty pleasures. Holy shit, dude. That's the worst, best answer. I hate that woman so
Same.
much.
Kind of
You
same.
listen to it?
I drive a lot for work, and
That
so
seems a
some
good
days
excuse.
I do like I'm on the road for like hours at a time sometimes, and like I listen to a lot of music, but sometimes you just like your brain just needs to shut off, and you just need to listen to something like completely stupid. And I listened to her right up until like the crypto crash. I remember the episode like the day before the crypto crash was about like her like was about like being canceled or something. And the next day she was just totally, sent to the firing squad.
Yeah,
But
didn't she fake her own death or some shit
I
after
don't know.
everybody got pulled?
I think she just went
Yeah,
offline
she
Yeah.
went yeah.
and,
Close enough, close enough.
Mhm.
this is a person who literally the only reason you know about her is because she's online. She's not
Yeah.
doing
Exactly, yeah.
so.
And her guests were all pretty bad, but she had Mark Cuban on, which was like kind of crazy. I don't know how she pulled that, but yeah, no, it's yeah, you might have to take that off the podcast.
I really don't want to leave it in, but it is the worst answer I've heard because I asked guilty pleasures and I meant musically, but
Yeah,
holy
yeah.
shit.
I was
That's
gonna
definitely
say
guilty.
I'm glad Brian answered first because I probably would have said like, oh, you shouldn't feel guilty about things you enjoy, but like, yeah, he's really pushing the
Yeah,
limits.
yeah. Like, look, y'all, I know I fucked up on that one.
Um, this is something that I would say I do not feel guilt about, but I love nightcore.
That's not guilty at all.
But here's the thing.
Uh,
There's
Eh,
Nightcore that I enjoy of things that I would not ever listen to at like normal speed. Something about like radio friendly, really well produced like pop punk. When you speed it up by like 20%, it is just like it feels like you are like sending an electrical charge to my brainstem. It's just
do
like
you
I don't know. I enter a flow state when I hear like Memory by Sugar Cult Nightcore, Machine Gun Kelly's
Very
pop punk
good.
era,
yep.
Nightcore. Again,
Yeah.
literally there were songs of Machine Gun Kelly in particular that I have never heard the normal song, but the Nightcore version I've listened to like dozens of
Hmm.
times because it just does something to me that I can't explain.
Yeah, shout out the Nightcore Jones is the best Nightcore uploader.
Who is Nightcore Jones?
And that's another big O one right there. But who is
This is
Nightcore Jones?
there's a whole in the book of Ostraca lore, there's a chapter on Nightcore Jones for sure.
For sure.
Hey, no, I'm
Yeah.
glad I asked. I didn't know there was pop punk nightcore.
Oh my
I
God.
didn't
Oh,
I didn't
Basically,
need to know it either,
anything
but
is
The
Nightcore
basically,
now.
there's Ostraka Nightcore.
Hmm.
I thought you guys did some research for this podcast.
apparently not enough. The depths of your depravity were unknown to me. I'll have to take a shower after this.
But
yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna cut that out. You're making us look bad.
basically anything that is reasonably popular on the internet, someone has probably made Nightcore of it. And I am honored to say that I have contributed to that community. That there's been a few songs that's like, damn, I bet this would sound good sped up, and it doesn't exist. And so I make it and I upload it, and now it's out there for everyone who's like me to enjoy.
Did you make your own Ostraka nightcore?
No, that would be crass. I would never.
It was a fan who did it?
Yeah, I think Nightcore
Oh yeah.
Jones,
Yeah, it could have
but
been Nightcore Jones.
there have been others too.
Hmm.
There's more than one.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, and here's hoping that this moment in this podcast makes it explode, and we get a Nightcore upload of every Ostraka song.
Mm.
I hope that this
Here's hoping.
podcast gets sampled in a Nightcore track, like just Nightcore me, please, someone.
I'd be fine if it didn't. That's hilarious. Jesus, what do you think is your most unpopular music take?
Didn't we just cover
being
that?
Besides being way too into Nightcore. Yes.
It'd be a hard
Excellent
one
point.
to
Excellent point.
overcome now.
Unpopular take.
Yeah. Do you have a hot take about any genre, song, music in general? Something that'll get swords drawn at you?
Wow, slowed and reverbed hick hop.
I don't know
That's
if
too
that's-
that's too on
I don't
brand
know if
with
anyone has
Nightcore. Yeah,
opinions on
yeah,
that.
yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. The other day, again, I mentioned that we were like talking about possibly doing a cover, and Brian was shocked to hear that I don't like Nirvana, and I never have.
I don't either,
Yeah,
and I never have.
I'm not like
Super overrated.
I'm not
Super
down
overrated.
on them necessarily, but
They're
it's
so overrated though. It's whatever.
they're quite highly rated. I'll give you that.
Yep.
Uh, but yeah, I don't know. Hot takes.
It'll piss people off, by the way. If you say you don't like Nirvana, people get pissed.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, people are free to enjoy what they enjoy. I have my Machine Gun
Absolutely.
Kelly Nightcore, and they have their Nirvana.
Yeah, yeah, that threw out your cred right there.
I mean, certainly, maybe something like I was talking at one point, long ago, now about like discovering things on Soulseek or whatever that like really, really spoke to me and that nobody else gives a shit about. So this isn't a hot take exactly, but I got like really, really into like 1960s like English folk revival. Um, and there was this band called Willard's Leap, and literally they only put out one record on this like micro label called Ren Records from like I think like Nottingham in the 70s. And I can't even find the entire record. There's like half of it is on Soulseek. And I've listened to that half like so many times and have like looked everywhere and asked all of my like deep cut internet friends who are like plugged in but there's like no copies of it anywhere. But yeah, this band called Willard's Leap that has this record called Adieu John Barleycorn. And I don't know, man. It really does something to me. Not the Nightcore thing, but it does something else. Um, so yeah, I was hoping when like sea shanties were big on TikTok for a minute there that there might be some more attention and maybe something would come to light, but nothing's happened yet. But so again, probably not an unpopular take, but as far as maybe something that people would not expect me to be a big advocate of and enjoyer of, yeah, the whole like 60s folk scene and like Shirley Collins especially was like a folk singer who was hugely important to me.
Right, that's definitely a first. That's definitely a first for the show. 60s
You got
folks.
Brian, you hate a lot of stuff.
I love everything.
I shone some light. Let's get some fire from you.
Yeah,
I
for real.
music. I don't know. I mean, I don't think my takes are all pretty.
What's something that people like that you hate? The way I dislike Nirvana.
There we go. That's
Oh,
on
I
the
don't know.
But more than that, I want vitriol.
I don't know. Like, I think I've grown to increasingly dislike like the Charlie fandom. Um,
Yeah, sure.
so yeah, like I was real into Charlie for a while, but just recently it's missed the mark for me. And you can quote me on that. Yeah. Take that to the bank.
We are recording, so it's good that I can quote you on it.
Um, but yeah, no, other than that, my takes are pretty cool. Yeah.
Mhm.
They're all popular, no worries.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like you're holding back on me, but that's all right. That's all right. If you guys could give the world a gift, another hard left turn here. Doesn't have to be a material possession. What would you gift to the entire world? Take your
Um,
time with that one. It's a stumper.
The ability for everyone to torrent.
yeah, honestly, I have really thought about doing some kind of a zine or something to teach the youth how to pirate media.
Yeah, how to steal
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh
Because
yeah.
here's hoping that you get a lot of people sounding off and say, like, hey, I know how to do that. But so, including a lot of people like approximately our age are like, oh man, I really want to watch this movie, but it's not streaming anywhere. And I'm like,
Yep.
where have you been?
Yeah.
You
Do
can
you
get
not
any
have
movie ever for
yeah.
free right now. Like,
Yeah.
how don't you know this?
Get the net.
This episode's actually sponsored by Amazon Fire Sticks. They're $30. You can jailbreak them, get Streamio app. You can watch whatever the fuck you want. It is amazing.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Um, so yeah, I would say that's honestly a pretty good answer. And something that I do feel kind of
Yeah.
strong about is not letting the objectively evil streaming services dictate what you do and don't have access to. Um, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, like I've definitely gotten like pretty into movies, and right now the oldest movie on Netflix is The Sting, which is from I think like 1968 or something. So it's like literally there's like almost 100 years of movies that are not represented on like the big streaming service. Like there's just so much out there that is not being presented to you for your consumption, and a lot of it is fucking great.
Well, yeah. Power to the pirates.
Yeah,
I respect
absolutely.
that. Absolutely. So coming back to you guys before we close up here, how stoked are you all for the June dates in Asia? Is there any place specific you're looking forward to going or something you want to do in your downtime when you're not on stage?
It's
Um,
big bucket list, honestly. Like this
Yeah.
is, I mean, we've been doing music together forever as the three
Mhm.
of us, right? And like it's always been like, wow, it'd be cool to go. First, it was like it'd be cool to leave the States. And then we went to Canada.
yeah, first it was like, man, maybe someday we can go to Pennsylvania.
Yeah, yeah. But like the dream was always like, Asia just seemed like so far and so hard to get to and just,
And it is. That was an
yeah.
accurate thought that we had.
Yeah, but we at this point, we just have a lot of things working for us and a lot of people willing to help out and kind of set this together for us. And it seems surreal to me at this point. I don't think it'll be real till I'm like on the plane.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, so initially it was just going to be a like Japanese tour. Um, but it seems like the move if you're going to go to Japan is to play like 3 shows around Tokyo, basically. And that's kind of all you do. So I like the person who helped us out with the Japan shows, I got in touch with initially and was like, hey, we're looking to do maybe like a week or 10 days. And he basically was like, most people don't really do that. What I could do is do like these 3 Japan shows for you and then set up a bunch of shows around Southeast Asia and like, all will be taken care of. And I was like, well, cool, sure. So yeah, I mean, as far as, things we're interested in seeing and doing outside of shows. Um, we planned it out so that we get there like a couple of days before the first show to like have some time to breathe and like adjust to the time switch and stuff. Um, and really, like, I don't know. I mean, none of us have ever been to Japan or any part of Asia before, so uh, I kind of am trusting our, like DIY punk friends there to be like, come with me.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so it's like, I don't know. Would I be interested in like going to an onsen or something? Like, yeah, for sure. But I don't know. Maybe that'll happen and maybe it won't.
Yeah.
I'm sure, I don't know, I'll probably do some investigating of ways to spend our time. But yeah, super like grateful already for like all of the help that like all the agencies and like, DIY promoters and stuff that are helping us have done to like make this happen for us. One of them, Sleeping Boy Collective, actually hit us up like years and years ago and was like, hey, if you guys ever want to come to Southeast Asia, let me know and like I will make it happen. And I remember at the time that just seeming like a pipe dream, and here we are. So, yes, what are we excited about? All of it, everything.
Yeah. I think
Yeah.
on like a selfish level, I'm just so excited to go to like one of those like mega arcades. Just
Mhm.
Oh
like
yeah.
it's we have round one here and all that, but like I want to hit like the Sega arcade or whatever equivalent that could be. I want to buy my lunch out of a vending machine.
Yeah, the
Um,
7-Elevens we're really excited
yeah,
for
like
sure.
the whole like what they call like konbini like culture and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm on. I don't know, and just like slice of life type stuff. Like that's the best thing about touring and like being in the position that we're in is like the people you meet open like the strangest doors for you to experience like whatever area you're in. And like we've had that pleasure when we've been to Europe now a couple times, and like I just hope that carries over into Asia because some of the most memorable times on tour have just been random days and random place, that just really, I don't know, stick out. So
Yeah, I'm super excited for you guys. Congrats again, because getting there is crazy. The dream is real. You
mm.
guys are living it, so I'm very happy for y'all.
If
Do
you
you do
will
you
it,
have a
it is
favorite?
no dream.
Sorry, go ahead.
I said if you will it, it is no dream.
Wise words from a wise man.
Yeah.
Do y'all have a favorite show or tour memory as a band or just as touring musicians in general that really stands out?
Um, our like first European tour was definitely like really, really a like pretty formative experience for me. Um, just because that was like our first time like going quite far away and like getting in the van with 5 people we had never met before for a month. And we toured with a band from the UK, Komarov, and like I don't know, it's like to some extent I think it's you get lucky, but like we really really like bonded with them. And when we played New Friends
2 years
2 years ago. Like Katie, who 2 of the guys in Komarov are in that band too, were there. And like Laws, their drummer, and I shared a very tender embrace, I gotta say. Like I don't wanna put him on Front Street here, but like after our set, he came up to me and was like crying, and I like gave him a big old hug, and it was like, damn, this is what fucking Screamo is all about. Is like straight up meeting these people who live on another continent who you would like never in a million years come across, and like forming these like extremely genuine connections with them. And also again, just like having the opportunity to like, yeah, go do like fun touristy stuff that I'm sure anyone who goes and visits, Berlin or Prague would do, but also like sleeping in just like the spare bedroom in some squat in Croatia, and watching Die Another Day because that's the one DVD that they have on like the tiny little like combo TV, and like just like laughing your ass off doing stuff like that with these people who again you had never met in your life 2 weeks ago. Um, so I don't know. As far as like what I'm looking to get out of touring, that tour I feel like really, really solidified a lot of things in my mind as far as like the experiences and the connections that like something like that can contribute to your life.
And like I guess piggybacking off that, like our last European tour, and it's just like it's like the same kind of idea where, we went to Germany, we met up with a German band in Dare, and we toured a few weeks with them, and we had known one of them, but the others were more or less unknown. And Ostraca has a certain way about us on tour where we're like tricksters. Like there's like I don't know, some like we keep it light and we keep it fun. And the band we were touring with, awesome, incredible. We had such a great time with them. But there was I guess some lost in translation, just like their German ways, our American ways. And it was like the final day of tour, their drummer, who we'd been just chilling with and just like having a good time with, he comes up to us and in a very just like funny way, he goes, "What's up, sickos?" And it really stuck with me. And just like he finally just, I don't know, we like it was like that bonding moment, where it was like, wow, like we get each other. It's just so sick. And I just hit him back with "What's good, sicko?" And it was great.
I should probably
Oh, that's
also
cool.
mention, thinking about it now, that I met my wife because she's in a screamo
Right.
band.
Kind of a
And
big deal.
yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
sure.
we, like played a backyard show with them, and she was like really, really sick when they played the show, and we like barely talked, but like, got in touch. And then the next year, when we came back, we played like 3 shows with them and like actually had a chance to hang out, and look at me now, baby. Uh, for the people listening to audio, I just held up my finger with a ring on it.
We should
The
probably like
magic
splice
finger.
this, like put the part where Gus talks about meeting his future partner first and then everything else after, you know,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all
just
one.
in
I
case
mean,
they listen, you know?
and that was his second favorite tour memory of all
Yeah.
time. Oh, that's amazing. So, what's next, guys? You've been living the dream, you're going to Asia. What's the next big goal or accomplishment, milestone, venue, festival you want to play? What's next that you want to do with Ostraka before you call it a day and call it a career?
We want to be
Where
the
are we going
first
in the
screamo
future?
band on the International Space Station.
Yeah. And also Ostraka forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I hadn't really thought about it. When we made I know it comes from a good place, but I feel like every time we post a flyer that we're like going somewhere, I mean, the classic internet meme is that people say, "Come to Brazil." But it's fucking true. Like
Yeah.
anytime we say we're touring somewhere, a bunch of people say like, "Go do this thing instead," and it's like, man, come on.
Yeah.
But the Australian contingency definitely spoke up on the Asia tour flyer, and we're like, "Oh, just come right down." And
Come right down.
yeah,
Yeah.
to be honest, we thought about it. There is like several thousand miles of ocean between Japan and Australia, so I don't know. I thought it was a lot closer than it is too.
Oh, just
But
come right on down.
yeah, and the blind girls have definitely been courting us and trying to get us to go down there. So I guess
Yeah.
that's something that we're definitely interested in doing
Hmm.
one of these days. Um, Chicago. People want us to come to Chicago too,
Yes.
so maybe we'll do that.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of places because our, lives are what they are and we don't have, shitty jobs that we can just quit now and like go on tour for 2 months. There's definitely like just kind of a rotating cast of like, oh, we haven't been to this place in forever. And then we go there, and then it's like, well, now it's been 5 years since we played in the Pacific Northwest, so like that's up next. And then there's the things that are again sort of like long term, like, man, wouldn't it be cool to tour Japan someday? And like, I don't know, trying to strike a balance between, these things of like revisiting places to I don't know, check in, see what's going on there, and then yeah, go places we've never been. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Still plans to call it quits. I'll say that.
Yeah.
We're definitely continuing to churn out the tunes, and tour commensurately when we can, and yeah, we're gonna do it all. We want to be the
Ostraca
perfect bingo
forever.
game with a roller coaster named after us. And it's just a giant O, and you go around and around.
The artist
Fucking
formerly known
hell.
as Ostraca.
So finally, gentlemen, this has been an absolute pleasure. Do you have any last shout outs, plugs, causes, anything you want to talk about before we wrap it up? Play outro track on the audio podcast.
When do you think this is going to come out?
It's a good question. People don't normally ask me that till after, but it could drop this Wednesday. It could drop next Wednesday. It could drop whenever the fuck you really want it to. If you're looking for something specific,
Well, I was going to say we got some shows in Texas coming up with our friends in Votive at the end of this month and the start of next month. So, hey, if you're in Texas, come to one of those. They look like you should be sick.
Mm-hmm.
oh yeah,
What else should
I'm
we
missing that show by like a week. I'm so bummed. I'm gonna be in Texas like the following week. It looks like there's like nothing going on.
boo, Gary, boo.
Yeah.
Where are you going in Texas? I'm sure there's something going on.
I'm going to Austin. Young Widows is playing one of the nights while I'm there, so it's not like a totally lost cause. I can vibe with some Young Widows, but they're also playing here in like 2 months, so was hoping to catch Ostraka votive. That show looked pretty sick.
But
Alas.
yeah, I guess that's more of a plug than a shout out.
Yeah.
Really. I don't know. I feel like we've really been showering a lot of love on
Shout out
all the things we enjoy.
Shout out all the new young screamo bands on everywhere in the States, especially the East Coast, the Best Coast, but everywhere in between, all the way to California. Like it's really cool seeing like this moment in time kind of take off and screamo bands, playing awesome shows, and like doing cool stuff. Because there was a time when you were a screamo band and it wasn't like it is today.
Yeah, everyone fucking hated you.
Yeah, and we remember that. So
yeah, you guys lived through the lull, right? Like,
oh yeah,
from your inception point, like Kilgore time to now, there was like a dip for a while.
Yeah,
like it had a wave.
Buy the dip is the lesson.
Yeah, dude, buy the dip. Deep fucking value.
But yeah, the iron is hot now. The bands are killing it. Like old, new, everything in between. It's very cool. It's cool to see the scene where it is. So
yeah, definitely. Shout out to like everyone who has gotten into screamo in like the last 12 months and is excited about it and like wants to start a band. Because that's cool. Do it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Now then, forever, Ostraka. It's been an absolute pleasure, gentlemen. Thank you so much for coming to chat.
Of course. Thank you.
That's going to be all the rage at the shows now. People just going to be throwing up the big O for y'all.
I was going to say, I feel like this is another maybe Ostraka dream. So I'm a big supporter of our local minor league baseball team, the Flying Squirrels. And there was a player for them for a few years whose name was Will Wilson. And every time, like no one else did this, but we were trying to get it to catch on. Every time he'd come up to bat, we'd throw up the flying W's for Will Wilson.
Nice.
And now that we're doing the flying O's for Ostraka here, I'm realizing that another goal of ours is for Ostraka to play a Flying Squirrels game at some point. For us to come out and like do the national anthem or something is definitely something that I would love to do.
I had no idea where that was going. Okay.
I don't remember if it was Gus or John who talked about like Flea and Chad Smith playing the national anthem at a Lakers game. I think it may have been John on with talking with Dave, but yeah, please make this happen. Yeah, please make this happen.
Yeah. Well, we've put our bid forward, so I'm sure someone in the Flying Squirrels HQ is listening to this podcast right now. You have our contact info.
You know where to
Massive,
find them.
not just the Phase fans, they are. Yeah. We appreciate their support, and we appreciate you guys coming to chat again. This has been so awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, guys.
Our pleasure.
Yeah.